Hello everyone, my name is Rudo Chifamba and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk all things project management. Today we're going to be talking project management certifications, and we're going to be talking certifications in general, but PMP certification in particular. That's a project management professional certification that's offered by the PMI. And PMI and PMP, because as I've mentioned before, that's the certification that I have. That is the certification that I'm familiar with and therefore feel more comfortable talking in a little bit more detail about this. And before I go too far, this was actually a special request by a friend who watches videos on this channel. They were like, hey, I'm thinking of doing my certification, my PMP certification. Do you think you could do a video on that and maybe even share your PMP certification journey? So I'm going to do two videos on the back of that request. One is just talk about certifications in general, and then another one where I share my certification journey. So just wanted to plug that in. And now, as always, I like definitions, right? So I want to define a certification, a project management certification, and then we can kind of take our conversation off from there. Now, a certification is a credential that is offered, hopefully, by an authoritative body that endorses any given individual's proficiency as a practitioner in a given field. So to kind of like shrink that down to project management, a project management certification is a credential that is offered by a credentialing body that says, yes, this person is a proficient project manager. So that's the definition. And certifications are different from academic qualifications. So yes, there is that word certificate where certification is derived from, but really it's not an academic qualification. And I actually have a fun story to share. Maybe it's not fun, but a story to share about how I came face to face with the distinction between a certification and an academic qualification. And that was when I was doing my MSc in project management. That would have been 12 years ago. And I remember happily raising my hand up and asking our lecturer, which one is more valuable, this MSc that I'm doing versus the PMP certification? And he was like, well, they're not comparable because, they're different. One is a practitioner credential. The other one is an academic qualification where you're going deep into the theory and understanding fundamentals and all that. Yes, you do have case studies and all of that, but which brings everything into real life. But, that's purely academic and the other is purely practitioner. So there we are, we've done the definitions, we've defined what a certification is. So now that we've happily defined what a certification is, what I actually should have introduced right at the beginning of the video is I would like to be able to answer the question for you guys, is a certification worth it or is a certification not worth it? Should you certify or should you not certify? So in order to get to that answer, I'd like to build up a case for whatever that final answer is going to be. And what I'm going to do is kind of break up all the merits and demerits, if any, of certification. And I've split that analysis into two, really. One is, what are the benefits to self or the use to self? And then on the other hand is, what are the benefits to others or the use to others? So let's be very selfish and just start off with the benefits to self. Now, if you are doing a PMP certification, what are the benefits that accrue to you? The first most obvious one is you build confidence in yourself that you actually have mastered you have the base mastery at a very minimum of the field of project management as a doer, right, as a practitioner. And for me, I find that so very valuable, because as I've mentioned before, I really like to be able to know what it is that I'm talking about, and to have that certification and to have a certain body certify me says that they are vouching for me to say that she knows what she's talking about and she knows what she's doing, right? So that's one. The second is just similar but a little bit different, in the sense that you have a holistic appreciation of the body of knowledge of project management, which, as you're doing your day-to-day work, you unconsciously do have that appreciation, but actually doing the certification makes it a lot more of a conscious exercise and a conscious awareness, and just a holistic appreciation of that body of knowledge. And I don't mean the PMBOK, the project management body of knowledge, is in the book, but the body of knowledge itself that underpins that book. So that's another benefit that I see in the PMP. Another benefit is monetary, right? There's no shame in monetizing your value. The PMI actually says that project managers who have a PMP certification worldwide, when they average it out, earn on average 16% more than project managers who don't have the PMP certification. If you come to the US and kind of like zero in on specific markets, in the US, the quantum is actually 32%. So that's quite sizable. Your paycheck grows by 32% when you get the PMP certification. In other countries, it's actually higher. I stand corrected here, but Australia, it might be as high as 48, or is it Switzerland? But you get the point, right? PMP gets you that much more. In other countries, it's marginally more. So you'd have to be weighing whether that value versus the effort of getting a PMP certification and maintaining it really makes sense for you. That is, if the financial bit is the bit that matters more for you. Then the fourth value in getting a PMP certification is it's a globally recognized certification. So if you move from one country to another with your PMP certification, it's very likely that your certification is recognized in that country, and therefore you can reap the benefits in terms of recognition, in terms of maybe remuneration, as you port your skills across the globe. So those are the benefits to self that I kind of like wanted to zero in on. I don't think they're exhaustive, and you can do a little bit more research on your own on the remainder. Now, in terms of benefits to others, which is others who are external to you, what does a PMP certification mean? Now, if the most obvious thing is it builds confidence. If you are an employer, for example, who is looking to bring in someone into a project management role, them having that PMP certification means they are endorsed by an authoritative body. You can then safely assume that they are familiar with best practices in the project management field, and that they have hopefully practiced those project management best practices. And I say hopefully, you will understand why I'm saying hopefully closer to the end of this video. I'll kind of like close that loop for you all. So that's one benefit to others. Another benefit is it's a global certification, like I mentioned. So if a company is recruiting globally, they sort of know the standards to expect from a PMP certified project manager. Right, so those are the benefits outlined. I feel like there's another benefit that's swirling in my head that I haven't touched on. Oh yes, benefit to self. It looks great on your resume, and back to back with that is that employers look on it favorably. So that's kind of like the same benefit, but you look at it differently depending on whether you are the individual or you are an employer or an organization or whoever that is that's external. Right, so we've talked benefits. Any good evaluation needs to look at both sides of the coin, look at the positives and the negatives. So it would be prudent for us to camp on what could be negatives for certifying, And I really raked my brain, guys, to find any real disadvantages, as in something that would disadvantage you or where you'd get disadvantaged if you certified. And I couldn't find distinct disadvantages, but what I could find were drawbacks, potential drawbacks to you certifying, things that could discourage you from certifying. And that would be the time investment into preparing for your exam and writing the exam itself. Some talk about the difficulty of the exam, so that is some consideration to make. It is not necessarily a difficult exam, as it is an intense exam. You have to answer hundreds of questions within a very short space of time, so that could be a deterrent. And then on the other side of certification itself is the maintenance of the certification. So the way PMP works, or most certifications really, is you have to keep your certification current and in good standing. For the PMP, it's a 3-year cycle in which you have to complete a minimum of 60 PDUs of professional learning. That means you're staying abreast of your profession and all of that. That could be a deterrent for others. So if you don't hit your PDU minimum, then you lose your certification. Your certification lapses, and if you want to gain it back, then you have to make another time investment, another effort investment. So that could be a deterrent. But actually, I see a positive in there, which I didn't talk about in the positive section, which is, as you're maintaining your PDUs, you're staying current in the developments of the project management field. So that's a benefit to self, and that's also a benefit to whoever might want to engage with you and consume your services, because they know that they're getting an individual who's kind of up to speed with what is happening in their field. So thought I could just kind of like plug that back into the benefits, right? So we've talked about the benefits and the drawbacks, and now I think we can quickly converge at answering that question: is it beneficial to certify or not? And my unreserved recommendation is that certification is good. It's a good option. If it's something that you have been thinking about, go on, pursue it. You know, we've talked about why it is beneficial. The downsides are there, but they are far outweighed by the upside. It's not something that you're going to do and turn around and regret by any stretch of the imagination. So go forth, go pursue that that certification. And now that I have given you this much encouragement, right, I feel like it will be prudent for me to just give you an outline of what it is that you need to have, the prerequisites that you need in order to be eligible for PMP certification. And this breaks into two. The prerequisites differ depending on whether you have a 4-year college university degree or a high school diploma or an associate degree. So let's start with the 4-year degree. You would then need to have, in addition to the 4-year degree, 36 months of project management experience. That's 36 months leading and managing projects. You would also need 35 hours of project management education or training, or a CAPM certification, and that is the Certified Associate in Project Management certification that's offered by PMI as well. On the other side, if you have, in addition to an associate degree or your high school diploma, you would need 60 months of project management experience. And the education, the project management specific training and education part doesn't change. It remains 35 hours or the CAPM certification. So those are the requirements in those two spaces. An additional thing that I want to highlight for all of you is that PMI does audit some of the applications just to make sure and validate that the qualifications, the education that you say you have, the experience that you say you have, that you actually do have it. So be truthful when you enter your information there. You know, the reason being, it's helpful for you to do that. First of all, we should be truthful just because. But then again, those minimums are put there for a reason. Because it's a practitioner credential, you want to actually have had experiential experience with project management, tactile experience touching and feeling and working within projects for you to get the maximum benefit of the certification. Some people will treat this as like an outright desk exercise where they just do rote learning. They go and they read those manuals, they go for the training courses and all of that, and they go and they do the exam and they pass the exam. However, you actually shortchange yourself a little bit, because really it's supposed to be, the secret sauce is in you having actually practiced as a project manager. So just wanted to share that bit of wisdom with you guys. And then before wrapping up, what I would also like to do is, the universe is much bigger. The universe of certifications and credentialing organizations is much bigger than just PMP and PMI. So want to make you aware of other organizations that offer certifications, so that, you can research those and see if they are a better fit for you in terms of the locale, in terms of the area of focus and emphasis. And off the top of my head, some organizations that I can think of, and I'll actually put links in the video so that you can visit those and see if they're a good fit for you. So there's the Association of Project Management in the UK. They do offer some qualifications and credentials. There is the Australian Institute of Project Management. They offer some credentials. One of them is the Reg PM program, but I think they have lots more that they have on offer. Then there is a Swedish organization that offers credentialing as well. Is it the AIPM? No, that is Australian Institute of Project Management. So there's another credentialing organization. I'll put all those links in there. There's also the Prince 2 certification, very popular in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. And when I was still back home in South Africa and Zimbabwe, it was a very popular certification as well. I don't hear as much about it over here in the US, but again, everything is about locale and focus and area of emphasis. So do your research, see where you land, and get the certification that's the best fit for you. So I'll stop there, guys, and as usual, if you liked this video, please hit the like button. If you find the content that I share on this channel useful, hit the subscribe button. That way you get notified each time I put out a new video. And until next video, you guys do take care. Bye.